Harinam Panchakapatarubhyascha Kapashindubhivacha Patitaram Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadvaita Gadadhar Shri Vashari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay. Hare Krishna. This is Caitanya Caritamrta, Madhya Lila, chapter 9, text 156 to what? 156 to just go, as long as I want. Manir jata vivagena nilapita dibir yutaha rupa vedam avapnoti dhyana bhidat tatats jutaha. This is a verse from the Narada Pancharatra. You could tell it wasn't Bengali, right? Sanskrit. When the jewel known as Vaidurya touches various other materials, it appears to be separated into different colors. And consequently, its forms also appear different. Similarly, according to the meditational ecstasy of the devotee, the Lord, who is known as Achyuta, the infallible one, appears in different forms, although he is essentially one. In other words, it's interesting because Krishna comes in different forms for different reasons, but one of the reasons he comes in different forms is to fulfill the desire of the devotees to worship him in that form, particular way, in whatever your relationship is, whatever your rasa is, and Krishna will come and reciprocate, take on a form just to reciprocate with your desire. Okay, so now okay. Text 157. Bhatta kahi kahan ami jiva pamar kahan tumi se Krishna sakshat Ishvara. Translation. Venkata Bhatta then said, I am an ordinary fallen living entity, but you are Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 158. Agada Ishvara Lila Kichui na Jani Tumi ye Kahang She Satya Korimani. The transcendental pastimes of the Lord are unfathomable. And I do not know anything about them. Whatever you say, I accept as the truth. Purport. This is text what? 158. This is the way to understand the truth about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After hearing the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna said very much the same thing. Sarvam etadritam manye yanmam vadasi keshava nahite bhagavan vyaktim vidur deva nadhanavaha. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. That's Bhagavad Gita 10:14. It is not possible to understand the truth about the pastimes of the Lord simply by using our own logic, argument, and academic education. We must receive bona fide information from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just as Arjuna received information when Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita. We have to accept the Bhagavad Gita or any other Vedic literature in good faith. These Vedic literatures are the only source of knowledge about the Lord. We must understand that we cannot comprehend the absolute truth by the speculative process. So I'm supposed to read up to 159, right? Yes? Anyway. More pona krupa koila Lakshmi Narayan Tanra kripaya paino tomara chorone darshan doroshon. Where's Anuradha? How do you say that? Dorshan? Dorshun. So the A becomes U. Dorshun. Tanra? How do you say that? Tanra. Krupaya. Payano? Chorana Dorshan. Okay. I have been engaged in the service of Lakshmi Narayan, and it is due to their mercy that I have been able to see your lotus feet. Hare Krishna. So let's go back to the purport of the last verse. So the verse 158 is saying Krishna's pastimes are unlimited. If you read the comment, if you ever read various commentaries on Krishna's pastimes, then the commentaries are often similar, but often there's different nuances in them, or sometimes different. And you also, as we discussed a few days ago, you can learn that within the pastimes there's backstories. This was so-and-so in their last life, and this is why they're in the Leela now. And when you read Ramayana, maybe even more Mahabharata, you see the complexity of the Leela. This happened, and that happened, and this happened, and that happened, and then it all came together. And it's like, Ordinary life isn't that complicated. And so, by reading those Leelas, you begin to understand that because Krishna is who he is, then he can have very interesting, complicated, and Leelas that seem to have unlimited aspects to them and unlimited understanding. Like I believe in Chaitanya Bhagavat, it describes the marriage of Mahaprabhu, and it describes it like it just was going on forever. There was so much to it. It was like 1 or 2 days, but when you read it, it sounds like it was a month. But anyway, it says Face ID, and oh wait, I already forgot what you said. It only gives you 4 numbers. Yeah. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare. You need a cheap Chinese wireless mic. They're a lot lighter. This is a really good microphone, and it's heavy. But if you get a cheap Chinese one, they weigh nothing. Or you could get a new mic stand to hold this. What do you think? I know that's a brilliant idea. I'm full of brilliant ideas. So, Prabhupada, in this purport, he's making a point. It's such a simple point. There's no way that you can understand Krishna. There's two ways to understand Krishna, and it's not through speculation, that's for sure. That's the point Prabhupada's making, because obviously Krishna's transcendental, so, nice try. Krishna's transcendental, and so the mind is not transcendental, the senses are not transcendental. And when they become transcendental, yeah, then you could understand Krishna, but they're not going to become transcendental unless you hear from proper authority how to practice bhakti so that your mind and senses become transcendental. And then, yeah, everything's clear. You know that story when Jadharani was doing a painting of the super soul, and she asked Prabhupada, is he sitting or standing? And Prabhupada said, oh, that takes thousands of births to understand. He answered something like that. Then he closed his eyes. She was walking out. He closed his eyes. He said, he's standing. So, you know how attractive Krishna is, right? You know how attractive the holy name is. You know how attractive the Leelas are. They're so attractive, that if we had attraction, we would be crying all the time. You know? In my japa retreats, I say, you should not chant japa while you drive. And we say, because you can't concentrate. But there's another reason. You might go into ecstasy and crash your car. If you're a pure devotee and you chant japa while you're driving, you're going to go crazy like Mahaprabhu did, and you're going to crash, right? So, it's true. So, Raghunath Das Goswami, when he was reading his Bhagavatam, it was always wet because he was crying constantly. So, when the covering is removed completely, you'll chant japa, everyone will chant japa, and one devotee will come around with a mop, because in front of every devotee there'll be a puddle of water, and he'll have to mop every 10 minutes, right? That's what would happen. And because Krishna is so beautiful, and we wouldn't be able, we can't contain the beauty. It's too intense. It's too overwhelming. But we have a problem. We're covered, so we see Krishna, yeah, kind of. We chant, we hear the holy name, sort of. We read the Bhagavatam, kind of. It's like something's getting through, but there's Kunti says there's a curtain, Maya Javanika Achanam. There's a curtain of Maya. So for some of us, the curtain is thick and black. For some of us, it's thin, it's thin, silky, thin, you can see quite well through it. Some of us, it's kind of in the middle. And for the pure devotee, there's no curtain. So, when there's no curtain, the experience of Krishna consciousness is full. So, like you read in Shastra about the pure devotees and their experiences, and you might wonder, well, is that ever going to happen to me? The experiences they're having are normal. We're not normal. We're in an abnormal condition. So we can do inconceivable things like fall asleep hearing Bhagavatam. Pure devotees can't do that. It's not possible. But we have inconceivable Shakti. We can fall asleep during Bhagavatam class. We can fall asleep during japa. Right? We can overeat, oversleep. We can do so many amazing things. Because of the curtain, because we're not, and then because of that curtain, we become attracted to other things. Other things, that's part of that's part of the situation when the curtain covers us. Then the attraction we have is for other things. So we can fall asleep during Bhagavatam class, but some newscast we're wide awake, right? So So what is causing that curtain? Because we could remove the curtain. Would you like to remove the curtain? Of course. Yeah, of course. What is that curtain? That curtain is the desire to enjoy independently of Krishna. That's all it is. And when that desire is purified, then Krishna can reveal himself in all his attractiveness. And that we were talking last night, and maybe it was last night or yesterday morning. Why it's slow? Why Krishna does it slowly? Because we're not ready yet. He's not going to just give you, he's not just going to reveal everything to you, to us, unless we're qualified. And the disqualification is we want to basically imitate, but the imitation comes out in the form of, I want to enjoy, I want to impress people that I'm a good devotee, I want to get honor for myself, I want to get more and more this and that. I think, I'm just trying to enjoy the body and the senses. And we were talking yesterday, and we had a program yesterday, and we were talking about how many devotees have had amazing experiences coming up to death. And a devotee told me that Parikshit, you know Parikshit, who lived here, she said, you know, a few weeks before he was going to die, he had a dream that the Yamadutas were coming, and Kalachandi picked him up and ran with him away from the Yamadutas. And he joined in San Diego, and the deities there are Giridhari, and Kalachandji brought him to Giridhari. And then she said, are you like, you know, she asked him some question like, you okay? He said, yeah, I'm 100% okay. No, she said, are you ready to go? He said, I'm completely ready. So what's happening is, at that point when the body's breaking down, you can't enjoy anymore. It's, you know, you're sitting in a sick body that has no energy, so your mind doesn't think, I'm going to enjoy, because the body is the vehicle with which to enjoy, and you can no longer enjoy the body. And then Krishna reveals himself when we're in that state. Many devotees have expressed in their last weeks or even months amazing realizations they're having because they lost that desire to enjoy, and the curtain is gone, and it's just Krishna and them, and Krishna becomes beautiful and attractive. And everything about Krishna, his name, his Leela, like everything becomes like, it's like going from black and white to color. You know, it's like going from 1080p to 8K or whatever they're up to now. What are they up to now? 14? What? 8? 8K. No, they have 8K TVs. You guys are out of it. But that's good. It's good to be out of it. Yeah. So we're going from black and white film to 8K digital. It's like that different. And it's like, wow. So that's why devotees at the end of their life, so many of them had amazing realizations. Like just average devotees. This is very common. Average devotees with extraordinary experiences, because at that point, that desire to enjoy was gone. And that's what Krishna's waiting for. And when that desire is gone, then it's like the curtain is completely open, and it's like you see Krishna as he is. Like you see Bhagavatam as it is, you see the holy name as it is. Did you ever wonder how someone could chant 192 rounds a day when you're ready to like kill somebody to get to 16, and you know, right, banging your head on the floor, 12. Oh my God, I have 4 more. And it's easy to understand, because if there's no curtain there, then you realize Krishna is in his name. And if we realize Krishna in his name, do you think it would be hard to chant 192? I think it would be hard not to. Don't you agree? It would be hard to stop chanting. I can't stop chanting. Because like Rupa Goswami says, there's so much nectar in the holy name. I wish I had 1,000 mouths and 1,000 ears. Because it's Krishna, and we're not experiencing it because we want to enjoy. That many times devotees say, well, I chant, I don't like feel good, or I don't experience happiness. I go, it's not for your happiness, it's for Krishna's. That's why you don't feel it. That's the curtain. You're trying to enjoy the holy name. Like, we try to enjoy everything, isn't it? Isn't it? Oh, there's a nice flower. Let's look at that. We're just like in enjoyment mode all the time. So then we can't taste it. And so when you chant for Krishna's pleasure, then you'll taste something. Because you're not the object. You are the object of Krishna's enjoyment. He's not the object of your enjoyment. I don't feel this when I'm chanting. Well, you're not supposed to. It's not about you. It's about him. And it's really funny. You say, I don't feel anything. Well, why don't you put some feeling into it? Maybe you feel something. I know what you say. When you mean I don't feel anything, I know what you mean. You mean I'm just trying to get my rounds done. That's what you mean. And all I feel is like, I have to get my rounds done. So you don't feel anything. You put some bhakti in it, you feel something. But that's another point. But Thakur Haridas, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, others, they're chanting 192 rounds. 64 rounds times 3. Wow. That's because they realize Krishna's in his name. Don't you think you could do 192 rounds if you realized Krishna was in his name? Like, why would you want to sleep? It would be really difficult. Right? If I had full realization that Krishna is present in his name, or the deity, or in the Bhagavatam, or all these things, it would be really hard to sleep. And I wouldn't be very interested in it. And I wouldn't be very interested in eating, or to speak of mating and defending. Right? So because we have interest in those things, then Krishna wants to reveal himself to us. But we're not ready for it. We can't handle it, so he can't. So one devotee asked Prabhupada, why doesn't Krishna just give us love? Like, why all this work? Just like, give us love. That's what he wants to give, so why doesn't he just give it? And Prabhupada said, you'd become proud. You're the only one in this temple who has love for Krishna. Wash my toenails. Basically what Prabhupada was saying is you wouldn't be able to handle it. It's like, you're not, it's like, why don't you give my 12-year-old son a PhD in, whatever, rocket science? He doesn't understand it. He has to, learn step by step. So Krishna wants to reveal himself. So it's really us who don't, indirectly, we don't want him to reveal by our disqualification, because we want this, we want that, we want to enjoy this and that. And Krishna's sitting there crying like, I want to reveal myself to you, but you're not ready. He wants to fully. And so, like I say, at the time of death, you're definitely ready. When you know you're going to die in a week, like, how much attachment do you have? It's like everything's gone. You're completely ready. And Krishna says, good, now I can show myself. And then he starts showing himself. Have you ever heard stories about devotees leaving their bodies and the realizations they've had? There are many, many like that. So that's the qualification. Total detachment, no desire to enjoy this world, and now Krishna can say, here I am, check me out. I'm much more beautiful and attractive than you ever could have imagined. Right? So that's how Krishna reveals. And he, of course, as Prabhupada's saying, he reveals himself through the pure devotee. But that revelation is obviously different than an experience. So Prabhupada's making the point, just intellectually you can't understand unless you hear from a pure devotee, because Krishna is incomprehensible. And the only way you can comprehend him is if you hear from a pure devotee. But as we know, hearing is only part of it. And so if you want Krishna to reveal himself, then he's like so ready to do that. But he's waiting for us. And when you go back to Godhead, Krishna's going to say something like, what took you so long? Could you imagine you get back to Godhead and Krishna's like, I'm glad you made it. What took you so long? Like, how will you feel? Like, because I didn't want to detach. I didn't want to give up that desire to enjoy. So I kept coming back again and again and again and again. That's it. It's so simple. So Krishna right now, if he could talk to you, could be saying to you, I'm waiting for you, so get your act together. Don't blow it again. Don't remain attached to these stupid things because you think these stupid things are going to make you happy, but all they're doing is just keeping you separate from me so you can't appreciate my beauty. That's all they're doing. In the name of giving us enjoyment, they're disqualifying us from fully appreciating Krishna's beauty. So it's an ultimate paradox. I'm doing this to enjoy, but in the process, I'm not able to fully appreciate Krishna's beauty. Not even able to fully appreciate his Leela. Because how can you understand the Leelas of Radha and Krishna? It's all about a kind of love we have no experience of. And the only way you can understand those Leelas is to have that same love that they have. Or, similar, right? Otherwise, coming from the platform of lust, nobody can understand Radha and Krishna because you'll just think it's like boy and girl. But if you have love, then when you look at their Leela, you can enter into that and experience it. Wow. What do you think of that? Sound good? So the price of being able to understand, properly understand and enter in those Leelas is you have to give up lust. Now who wants to give up lust? Nobody. Lust, anger, greed, envy. Who wants to give up these things? Nobody. And so we hold on to them to one degree or another. And then, did you see the deities are so beautiful? Yeah, I saw them. They're okay. Yeah. When Prabhupada would see the deities, he could tell how they were being taken care of. One time he came to Los Angeles and he took darshan of the deities, and then he said, I can see that you're taking nice care of the deities. And you know how he knew? Because he asked Krishna, are they taking care of you? Or something like, seems like they're taking good care of you. He was talking to the deities. And because there was a devotee next to him and he heard Prabhupada's conversation. Are they taking care of you? Are they feeding you nicely? And there was a pause. And after that little few second pause, Prabhupada said, oh, good. They're dressing you well? Pause. Oh, good. So Prabhupada was having a conversation. You know, the story of Sakshi Gopal. And Prabhupada said, when that Brahmin boy asked Sakshi Gopal to be a witness, Sakshi Gopal said, I can't walk, I'm a deity. And he said, if you can talk, you can walk. But they were having a conversation. So there is so much covering us, but that covering is self-inflicted, and it's coming from our own attachments. And as we become detached, Krishna becomes more beautiful. And as we become attached to material things, the material things become more beautiful, and Krishna becomes less beautiful. It's just the way it is, and you can't get around it. So it's like we give up something, but we know we're going to get something special. We're going to get a taste for the holy name. If you get a taste for the holy name, what could be better than that? Can you think of anything better than that? Get a taste for the holy name. You sit down here in the morning in the temple, and for an hour and a half, you're just relishing every syllable. It's complete nectar. That would be nice, right? You get up in the morning, Haribol! You run over to the temple. I have to see Kalachandji, so beautiful. I've been separated from him for 8 hours, and now I have to see. That's what it would be like if we weren't attached to anything. That's the payment. And Krishna's waiting. It's like, when can I give this to you? When will you be ready for it? So he wants to give it, and he's just waiting for us. to be a little more detached. And you hear about the gopis. The gopis are considered the greatest lovers of Krishna. And why are they the greatest lovers of Krishna? Because they never think about themselves. They only think about his pleasure. That's it. That's the platform we're trying to come to. And when we come to that platform, then we will see Krishna as he is. There will be no curtain. And it's amazing. Hare Krishna. That's all I have to say. You have any questions or comments? I'm giving a class this morning at 9:30, so I can't go too late. Yes? So many decades.
And coming to the midlife crisis where slowly you start becoming irrelevant.
Start becoming what?
Irrelevant materially, like your you being there or not being there might not be that important.
Ambivalent.
And still not able to experience Krishna and because of the thick cut, and how to make sure and not blow.
If you're bold enough, you can ask Krishna to remove the curtain, but he might have to do something to your life where you can't really enjoy anymore, so then the curtain can open. So I don't know if you're, or you could do that yourself. You could. I mean, the thing is, it's like we're just doing the same thing we did in the last life, and the last life, and the last life. So at some life we have to stop doing it. So just ask yourself the question, well, which lifetime am I going to stop trying to imitate Krishna? And now that I'm a devotee, this seems like the lifetime to do it. And then the next question is, okay, I can acknowledge that. I should do it in this lifetime. And then the next question is, well, when am I going to do it? When am I just going to stop? You have two problems. One is doing it, and one is not doing it and thinking about doing it. So we have to stop it on both levels. And you know what it's like when you go to the Dham, spend a week or two, and you're living in a little room, and it could be really hot or really cold, or mosquitoes, this and that. But it's really blissful, right? And you get so many realizations, isn't it? Why? Because we're living simply, we're detached, the environment is pure. So I think we should remember that that's what Krishna consciousness can be like all the time. If we live that way, simplify. So, I mean, another aspect of that is you want to give Krishna consciousness to others, then you're always thinking about other people and not yourself, right? And then everything you have, you want to use for Krishna's pleasure. So it's not for me, it's for him. So this one devotee, when I was in South Africa, he picked me up in a Mercedes. And I said, nice car. Why'd you buy a Mercedes? He said, so I could pick up the Maharajas from the airport. Which I interpreted as, you like Mercedes and you needed a reason. So at least he's using, so something like that. Like, okay, I like a Mercedes, but I'm going to use it for service. That'll be the prime use. So like that. Yeah. I think contemplating these kinds of questions, like how to become a little more detached, a little more renounced, a little more simple, how to purify that desire. Well, every morning you come in the temple, every morning you chant the holy name. You can pray for that. Krishna, purify me of my desire to imitate you and enjoy like you. And anytime you can do that a little bit and you get some taste, Just remember it. Remember that. Remember that experience. Try to cherish that. Cherish that. I remember this time when I was in this situation and I just said, Krishna, whatever you want, I'll do. And those are like the best rounds I've ever chanted. And it happens like that, Sometimes you just feel like, Krishna, whatever you want to do with me. And then you get some like huge realization, or you read some shloka that you've read 10 million times, and all of a sudden it's popping out of the page, and isn't it? That's because that's how it works. It's like we're all like closed up, and if we open up, then Krishna can go, okay, you're open. I can deposit this realization. You're ready for it. So I think just understanding that is really where our impetus is going to come from, and then we do the process, and the process gradually purifies us. But the more we are able to imbibe Krishna consciousness, the faster it works on us. So we can do the same thing for decades and we go like this far. But if we're a little more detached, then the same thing takes us much higher because we're getting more taste, more realization, more inspiration. So that's an important realization, isn't it? Like I'm doing the same thing. You ever hear a devotee give class on a verse you read, and the class is like off the charts good, and you're wondering, how did he have all those realizations? Where did they come from? Because I didn't have them. It's because he's more pure, so Krishna gives him more realization. He can handle more realization. So instead of saying, well, 20 years from now, I'm still nowhere, if you put yourself in a situation in which Krishna can just give it to you more deeply, then you're going to make more advancement. Just how it works. And we're all, we can't just be detached. We're all on different levels, but at least we should understand that that's how it works. As we become detached, as we lose the desire to enjoy, Krishna's like, okay, now you have more room for me to put realization in your heart. Before it was like small. I could only put so much. Now I can put more. And then you'll see how everything becomes more attractive.
Could you please elaborate what you mean when you say detachment?
Nothing in this world is for my enjoyment. If nothing in this world is for my enjoyment, what would I be attached to? I'm very attached to my body. Why? Because my body is the source of my enjoyment. I'm very attached to my wife because she's the source of my enjoyment. My children, my house, my car, my money. It's all sources of enjoyment. And we're all attached to these things, right? I mean, you can't be totally detached because then you'd be like, couldn't live and you'd be abnormal. But like one devotee said to Prabhupada, he said, it was early in the movement and he was confused because, Bhagavatam says you shouldn't be attached to your family. So he was saying, so I shouldn't be attached to my children? And Prabhupada said, no, you should be attached to making them Krishna conscious. So you're attached to helping your wife be Krishna conscious. You make your home a temple. So that way you stay detached. It's not for me. I'm not the Lord. I'm not the Lord of the house. I'm not the enjoyer of my wife and kids, etc. I'm always a servant. When we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're praying for the bhav of a servant. That's what the Mahamantra means. When we say, Krishna, I want to serve you, it means I want the mentality of a servant. Because I don't have it. I have the mentality of an enjoyer. So it's not just engage me in your service. Give me the mentality that I want to engage in your service. So that kind of detachment. I just want to use everything for Krishna's service. I'm not attached to enjoying these things. Then Krishna consciousness becomes attractive. And we're in the world because we want to enjoy everything. And everyone who loves Krishna in the spiritual world only wants him to enjoy. That's all they think about. And so we're practicing here to become qualified to go there. And because when you go there, that's what you do. And you're not going to get there unless you're doing that here. I just heard this amazing thing Prabhupada said. He said, the highest service is deity worship, because what you're doing with the deities is the same thing you're doing in the spiritual world. Wow. Hare Krishna. So, you're touching Krishna. It's not like you're thinking, I'm the enjoyer. You're serving Krishna. It's all for his pleasure. So when you're worshiping the deity, it's all for him, everything, right? You give him, in Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he was magistrate in Jagannath Puri, they were not doing 54 offerings then. But the king was apparently very licentious and wasting money on his sense gratification. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, you have to arrange 54 offerings and you have to pay for it, because he was wasting his money on sense gratification. So that's the idea of grihastha life and deity worship. You spend your money on your deity. Make your house, knock down a wall, make it bigger, have bigger programs. That's the thinking. That's the thinking of we're supposed to think that way, how we can utilize. And that's our detachment. Because we're just thinking how Krishna can enjoy, then we're detached. And then you'll see all these devotional, all the connection with Krishna will become more beautiful, more tasty, more attractive. And that's a sign that we're doing well in Krishna consciousness. When it's not tasty, it's not a good sign. It's a sign that we have a black curtain in front of Krishna, or a gray one. Okay, now it's time for a question. What color is your curtain and how thick is it? And maybe you want to go shopping today and find it like a lighter, a very sheer, like a stocking type like curtain. You basically can see through. Yeah. Or maybe we can just remove the curtain. Is that okay? Yeah,
Thank you so
have
much.
A question? Okay. I'm not going to say that it's easy. And of course, the stock answer, if we want to give you stock answer, is just do devotional service and you'll become detached. But the thing is, it's not necessarily true, because there's the 10th offense, and in the 10th offense it says to maintain material attachments even in spite of understanding so many instructions. And one of the explanations of the Acharya is that the process of bhakti will detach you, but you may not allow it to. It's like, you may take my chadar off, and I grab it and I pull it back. No, this is my chadar, you can't take it. So Krishna may be pulling something out of your hand, and then you grab it out of his hand and say, no, I'm not ready for it. And, maybe you're not ready. Maybe you would go crazy if he took it. But at least a reflection, we have to reflect that maybe through the process of bhakti, we are becoming detached, but we're resisting it and we're holding on to it. It's possible, right? It's interesting. Another offense is to think I'm the body after chanting, and I still think, so I'm still, I'm the enjoyer. I still identify with that. A sign of offensive chanting. So you want to look at symptoms, Those symptoms are like your temperature, basically. Yes.
In that process of detachment, how do you know when you're where's the line between false renunciation and genuine renunciation?
I have a story. This happened last week. I was giving a class in the morning at an odd time, so I couldn't really have breakfast, so I had a little nut bar, like this big, dates and almonds. And sometimes I do that, then after the class I'll have breakfast, and I thought, I'm not really that hungry, I won't have breakfast. I won't have anything else. Then it came time for lunch, and my wife made some noodles and, what's that? Ida? Yeah. And I thought, well, I didn't eat much for breakfast, so I'll stay in that mood and I won't eat much for lunch. So I made a bowl, maybe like 2/3 of what I normally eat. maybe half what I normally eat. And I ate the bowl, and it's like, okay, let me just eat this bowl. And then about a minute later, I went back in the kitchen. I go, I'm still hungry. So I ate some pistachios, and then I went away, and then I came back a minute later, and I ate some pumpkin seeds, and then I went away, came back, and I think she had made some amazing muffins. Then I ate one or a half, and then went away, and then I came back, and I ate one more thing. So how do you know when you've eaten enough? You know. And how do you know when you haven't eaten enough? You know. Because I couldn't go out and do my service because I was still hungry. So I kept coming back. That wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. At a certain point, it's like, okay, that's enough. So how do I know? You know, we're all different, and we all have different needs. And so just as you know when you're eating, if you're full, you should know. Yeah, you asked the question, I didn't. You should know, what I need. You know that point when you eat, where you hit that point and go, this is enough, but I want to eat more. You know that point, because especially if it's good. If prasadam isn't good, it's easy to stop, right? I've had enough, and you stop. But if it's really good, I've had enough, but I can't stop. But we all know that point, right? This is enough. So I think in life we can also gauge, what do I need to live peacefully, to fulfill my needs, and so forth, in a way that's not going to be an impediment to my bhakti, and what's too much. I think we know, more or less. Don't we? If we don't, we should be conscious of it. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much. Two things I was thinking when you were giving the class. Narottam Das Thakur sings that Bishoya Chariya Kabe Shuddha Hobe Mon, Kabe Ham Herabo Shri Vrindavan. That was the theme for your entire class. When will my material desire get purified and I actually enter Vrindavan?
Good point.
So I was thinking of that, and as you said, that some devotee might be speaking on the same verse that you would have spoken. Actually, I, by mistake, instead of giving you the end verse, I gave you the starting verse. So you repeated the verses that we chanted last Sunday. And I spoke nothing closer to what you spoke. So definitely I understand how detachment and the experience can make Krishna gives better realization for sure. Yeah. So you're the testimony, Prabhu. I just wanted to thank you, and I wish we had Chaitanya Charitamrta this way than the way we usually do. I mean, speaking for myself. Thank you again. And
You're
please
welcome.
Visit us more often, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Vishaya Chariya Kabe Shuddha Hobe Ma. When I give up my desire for sense gratification, Shuddha Hobe Mana, then my mind will become purified, and then I can see Vrindavan as it is. Yeah, that's basically what I was saying. And that's in the verse. Or you could add, then I can see Radha Krishna Leela as it is. I can taste the holy name as it is. I can taste the Bhagavatam as it is. You can just add, yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. You're speaking of raising the curtain, and I remember the pastime of Lord Brahma stealing the cowherd boys, and then when he comes back, he's in contrition and he's crying. And at some time during that pastime, Krishna lifts the veil, right, for him.
Yeah.
And he sees that all the living entities, they're not just walking around they're all dancing. Everything's dancing. So like even the cells in our body, they would say, well, they're like, there's electrons and protons, right, going around the atoms. They say they're what do they call it? They're orbiting. They're dancing around. And so I wanted to mention that in terms of like, how do we make ourselves dance more? That seemed to be something that Lord Caitanya did a lot and he wanted us to do. And so, not just in the way we come to the temple and dance, but how do we make ourselves dance all the time if we're feeling it?
Well, something that deeply impressed me about Prabhupada was that there was a theme. Even if it was unstated, the theme was always there in his lectures. And the theme was that you are fortunate, and you don't realize how fortunate you are. And you're the most fortunate. And you have Mahaprabhu's mercy. And with Mahaprabhu's mercy and my help, you can go back to Godhead in this lifetime. So, I heard that so many times. I lived in Los Angeles for 3 months. And Prabhupada was there, I think, maybe the whole time or 2 months or so. So I heard every day class. So you imagine hearing class every day from Prabhupada, you pick up on the theme. That's always underlying. So, you know how in Rupa Goswami says, Utsahan, be enthusiastic. And be patient and be tolerant and so many things. He wouldn't have, if enthusiasm was just natural, as a natural byproduct of lower states of bhakti, he wouldn't have to say be enthusiastic. Because that would be redundant. We already would be. And sometimes we are, naturally. But the implication of saying be enthusiastic is that sometimes you may not be. And so that idea, joined with Prabhupada's idea that you're so fortunate, would always make me enthusiastic even if I wasn't. And there's a story maybe you've heard. In Juhu, I don't know if you know this, but they had to get a certain permit to build a temple. But it so happened, and they didn't know this, that Mr. Nair, who was trying to cheat us, his lawyers were our lawyers, and we didn't know our lawyers were on his side. And so they arranged, I guess they bribed the municipality to not give the permit. And so the devotees would go every day and they go, yes, yes, come tomorrow, yes, yes, And they just thought, well, that's just, normal bureaucracy. But it hit a point, it wasn't normal. They couldn't. And one of the devotees was very discouraged, and Prabhupada could see that. And Prabhupada was there at the Arti, Sandhya Arti. And then Prabhupada gave Bhagavad Gita class, and he saw that the devotee was just sitting down, really discouraged. He wasn't standing, and he definitely wasn't dancing. He was just sitting. And during the Bhagavad Gita class, Prabhupada said, you should dance in the kirtan even if you don't get the municipal permit. So I never forgot that, because it's like dance even if you don't feel like it. I think Prabhupada said this, because if you do it, you will feel like it. There's that idea. So be enthusiastic even if you're not, and you will feel enthusiastic. And of course, Maya's position is to curb your enthusiasm. That's what she does, because without inspiration, you can't do anything. All your energy is coming from inspiration. So I've always looked for services that inspire me. And if I'm inspired, we all, not all, me, all of us, we know all our energy comes from inspiration. And I have a funny story. There was a certain point in my life, we were doing Sankirtan, but it wasn't like, I like to go to colleges and preach to students, but this was like kind of just more collecting money. We weren't really doing books, we were just collecting money, selling, give them a flower, ask for a donation. And when they would say, this is true story, when they would say, it's time to go on Sankirtan, and this is the Sankirtan we're going on, I would start immediately yawning. Like immediately, they just say the word Sankirtan, the connotation is you're going to go out, in your Western dress, and you're going to go up to people and say, here's a flower, we're helping, whatever. Something, I would start yawning. And so many times in my life, when I'm traveling and we have programs in the evening, and we're leaving like 7 or 7:30, and I'm exhausted. And I always tell them, I said, if I were this tired and I was at home, I'd just, be getting ready for bed, and probably go to sleep, by 8:30. And the programs always we end up getting back like 11 o'clock at night. And I love to teach Krishna consciousness. And when I get back at 11 o'clock at night, I'm like this, I can't go to sleep. And I don't know if you remember, Janava, but after the surgery, I couldn't really talk. I didn't have much breath. But when people would come visit me, I could talk. You remember that? Like somehow I could talk. And she was saying, "Don't talk so much, you'll get tired." And I go, "No, when I stop talking, that's when I get tired." I swear, when I stopped talking, I was like, "I'm so tired. I can't talk." But while I was talking, it was somehow or other, So that's just the way it is. So we have to be inspired somehow. And we have to be inspired even if we're not inspired, and figure out how to be inspired. And, I'm tired, I want to dance. Dance anyway. And dance in your life, in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, who Maya is looking for? She's looking for the devotees who are not inspired. She's coming checking you all out. She doesn't want to do hard work, so she wants to pick the whole low-hanging fruit, the uninspired ones. Oh, that's easy work, Just dangle something in front of them and they go for it. Nothing better going on, right? They're not inspired in bhakti. She offers something better, they go for it. But if you're inspired in bhakti, it's just like, okay, I'll leave you alone, I don't want to bother your service. So, at least that's how it's been for me. And, people say, well, how is it that you can remain enthusiastic year after year after year? It's those lectures. Like he's rolling out the red carpet for you. This is like, in this lifetime you could do it. It's like, to me, it's like not enthusiastic. It doesn't make sense. Like your father, he set you up to start a business. He has the best people helping you, all the resources you need. Nah, I don't think so. I'll just get a job at Walmart, That's what it's something like that. Nah, whatever, Oh, there's another life. And then Prabhupada gave a lecture, and I was at this lecture. And he said, there's no guarantee you'll be a devotee in your next life. Don't think like that, because you might be born in a very wealthy family and you'll just get diverted. It's like, I grew up in LA. How many people from Beverly Hills are devotees, If you take birth in Beverly Hills because of some piety or past bhakti, well, as far as I know, nobody from Beverly Hills became a devotee. So there's no guarantee. That was pretty scary when he said that, because we all make an assumption. Well, I'll be a devotee in my next life. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you'll be in an ideal situation, you won't take advantage. Or maybe you will be born in a devotee family, but you won't take advantage of it. There's no guarantee. So all those things together, I thought, better be enthusiastic in this life, because I know Maya's, she's pretty enthusiastic to keep me here. And Prabhupada really wants me to go back to Godhead, and he's done so much for me to go back to Godhead. So it's like, if I don't go back to Godhead in this life, then it's kind of like, almost like a slap in the face. Like, you did all this, you gave me the millions, you gave me all the right people and the job, and I'm not going to do it. It's a slap in the face to your father. That's how I feel. That just keeps me going. Even if I never felt like I couldn't keep going, because those thoughts just kept me going. So even when I didn't want to keep going, it was like, well, of course I have to keep going. Like, he's given me everything. He expects me to keep doing it. And then when you execute the order of your guru, you feel his presence. So even though he's gone, that you feel very close. You can't really feel close unless you're doing what he wanted you to do. And then as you're doing it, you're like, yeah. In 1970, Prabhupada came to San Francisco for the Rath Yatra, and I was there when he came. And he came to the temple, but he didn't walk in the temple room. He just stood outside. It was a storefront. So he stood on the street for a few minutes, and he was just observing. And we didn't know why. But later he told us that there were so many brahmacharis in the temple and so many devotees. I don't think there'd ever been that many devotees in one place. And we all had shaven our heads. And we wore these polyester dhotis, and they never fade, and there's no wrinkles. They're very shiny. So a whole temple of, 20-year-olds, shaved head and long sikas, and tilak, and polyester, shiny saffron tangerine. And Prabhupada just was looking at it. And later he said that he was so just overwhelmed by it, he called his spiritual master to come see it. So when you do the mission of your guru, you always feel his presence. You feel like he's, yeah, Prabhupada, look, you wanted me to do this, I'm doing it. Come look, I'm doing it, Is it okay? Is everything? Yes, so it's like that. And how can you not do that and live with yourself, right? The thing is, if you should be Krishna conscious and you're not doing as well as you could be, you have to live with yourself, with that guilt, who wants to live with it? It's better to do a little austerity and you don't have to live with that. Just try your best. If you just try your best, there's no guilt or shame because you can't do better than that. And even if that's not enough, still, it's as much as you can do. And that's all Krishna expects. It's not like he's evaluating who's doing more. It's just you do what you can. This is who I am, this is where I'm at, and this is what I can do. And I will do that as best I can. And maybe, you have a lot of nice things, and you have a nice home, and a nice car, and this and that, and you just say, Krishna, I wish I were more detached, but I need this. This is what I need, but still I'm going to do my best to serve you. Do the best I can. And we're conditioned. So sometimes the best is like, I could do better, but I'm conditioned. But at least I'm trying my best. I was giving a talk in Alachua on Prabhupada's disappearance day, and I was really feeling like my whole life as a devotee, I felt like, wish I were more intelligent because I could have done something better for Prabhupada. I wish I was more this or more that, then I could have done better. If I wish I were a better manager, I could have done big projects. I wish I was a better book distributor, I could have done all these things. I think we all feel that way, right? Like I'm lacking, and if I wasn't lacking so much, I could do better. And so my realization was, Prabhupada, this is what you got, with all my limitations and lack of abilities and intelligence. It's like, this is what I bring to the table. This is what you have, but I will give you the best of this. And so many devotees said, wow, I really related to that, because what can you do? You can only give the best of who you are. So, maybe you're attached to something and you can't let it go, and you go to Prabhupada, I'm just like, I'm attached to this. I'm not ready to let it go, and I know I should, but I can't. But I'm still going, this is my limitation, but I will give you the best of what I can give you. I will give you my sincerity and like that. So I think that's all we can do. And that way we don't have to feel guilty about our attachments, because these attachments have been cultivated for a lifetime, so you can't just knock them out tomorrow. So we have to live with them. Yeah, I need this, I need that, I wish I didn't. But I do, I need these things. But still, in spite of my lackings and attachments, Prabhupada or Guru Maharaj, I will give you my best. Whatever it is. And that's the best we can do. And that way, you can feel satisfied. And you don't have to feel guilty and full of shame. And, this is the best I can do. As long as you're doing the best. Yeah. Okay, anything else?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. So in terms of dissolving that curtain, like you said, we don't want it to be too drastic because we may not be able to tolerate it, so we cannot pray, or recommended that we cannot pray in that way, just lift up that curtain. So how about if we have a prayer that, Krishna, please let me serve devotees with humility and love, and very genuinely meaning that, not in an artificial way.
Yes.
Would that be a less drastic way of the curtain being lifted?
Well, that's one of the ways for it to be lifted, yeah. I mean, ultimately, we can't just detach. That Krishna has to help us. But if we have the desire, then, like I say, Krishna, I want to be more detached, but I'm not. And I recognize these attachments, but, please help me. And so as I do my service, I serve the Vaishnavas and so forth. Yes, we should. As we do that, if that's our desire, Krishna will help us. In one sense, detachment is quite easy. It's just we relish Krishna consciousness so much that other things become less important. I mean, how? I think I was saying the other day in class, after my surgery, I was in some, I don't know where I was, but I'm in some altered state. And it was like I'd gone to the spiritual world or something. Can't really describe it, but what I can describe is when, after the operation and I, came back to consciousness, everything in this world seemed stupid. Like, I'd be doing my messages on, WhatsApp and this and that, but then, because you're on your phone, ads come up. And I would think, why are you doing that? You should be chanting Hare Krishna. I was like so in that world of like, I was just like with Krishna for the last few days. Or I don't know where I was, but I wasn't in this world. And so when I saw the things of this world, I was like, this is stupid. Why are you doing this? You should be chanting Hare Krishna. It was like, so some of that, that's what will happen as we progress in devotional service. It'll just naturally we'll feel that way more and more. Can't force it, and we're all different. But certainly we can pray for it. Because that prayer shows that I'm open and I'm not resistant. And resistance is a big problem. Part of the question, why is it slow? Maybe we're resistant to it being fast. Maybe Krishna's pulling and we're just like, we got a tug of war with Krishna. He's like, come on. And we're like, not so fast, Krishna. Take it a little easy. I don't know if I'm ready, I like, but I'm pulling you out of the well. Well, I got used to it down here, I like it dark and wet, I'm not ready for light and sun. It's like that, So through the study of Prabhupada's books, our intelligence becomes purified. And so we become less resistant. I should probably not resist. Right? And then not only do we become less resistant, but eventually we say, Krishna, pull the rope and pull it faster, I'm ready. And then if that's where you're at, then it's very fast. The same, everything you're doing is just going to move you faster because there's no weights. There's no resistance. It's oiled and it's like the pulley is working really well and Krishna's pulling it and you're just gliding right up, Can
I interject? I heard it's so bad that we have to ask Krishna to make us put our hand on the rope.
Yeah, exactly. Or Krishna, I'm praying and I don't take my hand off the rope. Yeah. I've given that example. Sometimes it's like that. You're in the well, and because the Prabhupada gave this example, you're in the well and then the Guru throws the rope and you're down there and he says, grab onto the rope. Do I have to? I thought, you're my Guru. I thought you're going to do everything. Right? You ever felt like that? I will do everything. Just grab onto the rope. I'll pull it up. Oh, grab on the rope. That's so hard. And once I grab, I have to hold on to it. And that's so hard. Yeah, but I will pull you up. You can't get out of here. There's no way you can get out of here unless you hold on the rope. So that much you have to do. But sometimes I think we don't want to hold on to the rope. Might be easier to stay in the well. You want to hear a funny story about two frogs in the well? This is so funny. It doesn't relate to anything I don't think we talked about, but since we're in the well now. So there's two frogs and they fall in the well. And the frogs above the well who didn't fall in are yelling down to them, there's no way you're going to get out of the well now. You're just like you fell to the bottom. It's impossible. So why don't you just relax and, in a few days you'll die because you're just going to, drown in this well water and you can't get out. And one of them starts jumping out. He's trying to jump out. And the other frogs are saying, just relax, stop jumping. And every time they say stop jumping, he jumps harder and harder and harder. And by some miracle, he jumps up and a gust of wind comes and he shoots him out of the well. And all the frogs are like, wow, that's amazing. But we have a question. How come every time we said don't jump, you jumped harder? He said, oh, I'm hard of hearing. I thought you were saying jump, jump, jump. Hare Krishna. Well, you know, we need encouragement. Anything else? I'm like, Dharma will take care of that. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, we have some books, some of my books, for those who didn't come to the other programs, if you're interested. We have a book on japa, we have a book on self-care, we have 2 books on how to practice bhakti, and we have shirts. Oh. Shirts with sayings on them, and we have cards with the japa affirmations, and we have posters. We have poster. Yeah, I brought 15 the other day. Did we sell them all? Yeah. So, yeah. And then we'll have, I think, somewhere tonight, the prasadam room we'll have also. And these are T-shirts with Krishna conscious sayings that I came up during classes, just like spontaneously. We came up with one yesterday. Can't remember what it was. I come up with so many. And the ones we like the most, we make T-shirts. So... and some of them are pretty interesting. Like we have one, I don't know if we sold it. It says, you're full of chit. And we have another one that says, I think we didn't, it's not printed. It says, you're a piece of chit. Because this is all, you know, chitkana. Chitkana means you're a particle of consciousness. So chitkana means you're a piece of chit. So like that. And we have another one that says, tolerate happiness. You know, this is like for like non-devotees. So they look at that and go, what is chit? Why would you tolerate happiness? And we have some others. Love the people you hate, even if you hate to love them. Ignorance is a choice. Sadhu in progress, please, sorry for the inconvenience. And it's like a construction sign with the sadhu meditating. Like that. So this all helps my preaching if you want to buy anything, and the books will help both of us. They help my preaching and yours as well. Thank you very much. And who do they see? You're taking care? Yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna. I have to get ready now for another class. We're doing a class at Krishna House on forgiveness this morning at 9:30. You're all invited for 3 hours if you'd like to come. Hare Krishna. And you know, forgiveness also means to forgive ourselves. So you don't have anyone to forgive, you can forgive yourself. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Grace Mahatma Prabhu ki.
Krishna Vadaya Krishna.
Hare. I'll remember that forever.
People say, not as much trouble. Not as much trouble as